Welcome back. I'm Dan.
And I'm Joe. And Dan, we have some breaking news.
Mm-hmm.
Earlier today, obviously we're in Thailand, or yesterday, there was no survivors after a plane carrying 64 people and a helicopter crash over Washington D.C. River. And a quick summary on this: no one is believed to have survived after a plane and helicopter crashed in midair over Washington D.C.'s over Washington D.C. River. So 64 people were on the American Airlines flight, and three on the military helicopter, which I believe was a Black Hawk, when the aircrafts collided near Reagan National Airport. So again, first of all, our hearts go out to the families,
Yeah.
and we're devastated by this. We can't. We just don't. We think we have to comment on it. It's look. I don't care if it was my worst enemy. I don't wish this on anybody. So there's a map right there where it took place, where the crash happened. Can everyone see that? If you can see that map, Washington D.C. right over the river near Reagan National Airport. And there's Reagan National Airport. And there's the White House. There's Washington, D.C.
Mm-hmm.
And as the latest, they don't believe anyone survived that American airline flight. It was a flight of this American airline flight heading from Wichita, Kansas, collided with a military helicopter, which many believe, as at the time of this video, was a Black Hawk. Around 2100, and for those non-military folks, that's 9 p.m. local time last night in D.C. and once again near Reagan National Airport. Obviously, as of this recording, the reason for the collision, folks, is not yet known. Both aircraft fell into the Potomac River in the U.S. Capitol, and as we've just heard from the authorities, no one survived the crash. And I just say our hearts go out to all those families. And
Well, I didn't know they fell in the Potomac River. I didn't know that part up until now.
Potomac. I wanted to make sure before I said it, and that's why I was waiting. But
Actually, no. I mean, I didn't know that they fell into the river, but it's yeah. Okay,
So-
now I know why. Because I too am a listener tonight, folks. Before I'm like, okay, why do I keep hearing one report after another about a plane crash? I mean, the 2 days before New Year, there were a series of plane crashes all in one day across the world. That was freaky, but this one is getting more coverage than all of those combined, and now it's because it was a military aircraft that was involved.
obviously, the mayor became tearful. I believe this mayor is Wichita. Obviously was emotional and talk about there's no survivors from the flight. I couldn't imagine it. 64 people, 64 families just devastated, and including the Black Hawk helicopter, which that many say there was 3 soldiers. So that brings the death toll to 67. The question is why? So that's why did this happen? So in the coming days, the FAA and along with military investigators. Now, my background in the Navy, I worked mostly in aviation. So in naval aviation, when there was a crash or something happened with an aircraft, the computers get locked, every piece of paper gets taken, every logbook, everything is taken, and it's an intense investigation happens. So you can bet here, obviously it's a no-brainer. It's going to be an intense investigation with the FAA and the Army authorities. So hopefully in the coming days and months, sometimes depending on the complexity of the investigation, it could take time. Sometimes maybe they'll know right away, but so obviously there's going to be a major investigation. So folks, we send our condolences, and here's a statement from Congressman Ron Estes. He's talking about. He confirms that has been he's talking about. He basically had a press conference, was taking a question earlier about the particular route, the aircraft route the American Airlines flight was taking from Wichita, Kansas to DC. He confirms that it has been in use for a year, stressing that it's important for us as a community to have connections and direct ones to popular spots like DC. Now, again, I'm not a pilot, but there are routes that only expert pilots can take. Some are saying now this particular location for Reagan National Airport. Um, some say this particular route acknowledges that landing at that airport requires a skilled pilot. And obviously, there's going to be a lot of Monday morning quarterbacking here. So it's again, folks. Also, for those of you that are afraid to fly, keep in mind, there are more car crashes than there are airline crashes. The only reason that this is airline crashes make news because, believe it or not, they don't happen a lot. And being in the aviation industry most of my adult life, believe me, there's a lot of precautions that are taken before that airplane leaves the ground. So, again, this story is developing. We're just giving you the latest. And Dan, what do you think? What do you think?
I have nothing to add, Joe. Tonight on this one, I am much more of a listener.
Well, and again, American Airlines, they have a good safety record from what I've looked up. And I was in the Navy for over 20 years. I worked with the Army briefly when I was in the Department of State. And believe me, they have some good methods. Going through, I'm not an expert on it, but I did do 2 contracts with the Army. And I was involved a little bit in helping, helping X-61 helicopters take off, land. And I was a help working in a production side. So, and they have a lot of good methods, a lot of processes before those aircraft can take off. So I'm not going to bore people with aviation jargon. I'm trying to keep it in layman's terms. But again, this is a rare occurrence. Unfortunately, this rare occurrence is devastating because 67 souls are gone now, and there's a lot of grieving families. And in the coming days and months, there has to be some questions answered. Why did this happen? Was the Army doing a mission over there? Did the American Airlines aircraft go off route? And again, I'm not saying they did or didn't, but there's questions. How did this happen?
Yeah.
And of course, there are going to be some people that try to politicize this already. But look, some things don't need to be politicized. Things happen. Unfortunately, this is a devastating tragedy, and our prayers here are with the family.
Right. Well, Joe, that's all it is for me. So.
Yeah. So, folks, please put whatever you want in the comments. Give us some suggestions of what you want, what kind of podcast you want. We'll gladly make it happen. There will be some changes in the future. We'll let you know as we get close to that. But again, we want to give you whatever you also want. We'll bring some suggestions. It takes all of us to make this work. Dan.
And we are for free speech as we are for independent thought. Folks, please remember to like, subscribe, and bang the notification bell.
Have a great evening or day, folks, wherever you're at in the world. Take care.